My grandfather built this ranch with his bare hands in 1952. Every fence post, every irrigation line, every inch of pipe running under that red clay soil. He put it there himself. When the property passed to my father, and then to me, it came with something more valuable than the acreage. The deep, inherited knowledge of exactly how everything worked. So when I made the decision to shut off our main water supply for a full weekend last spring, I knew precisely what I was doing. We were upgrading our entire irrigation system, replacing 60-year-old galvanized pipes with modern PVC, installing smart flow regulators, and adding a secondary holding tank that would save us thousands of gallons every season. It was the biggest infrastructure investment I had made since taking over the ranch 8 years ago. What I did not anticipate was my neighbor's reaction. Margaret, or HOA Karen, as my ranch hands affectionately nicknamed her, had moved into the fat development built on the adjacent parcel about 3 years prior. The subdivision sat on land once belonging to a neighboring family's farm, subdivided during a rough economic stretch in the early 2000s. The HOA she helped found governed only those newer homes, but Margaret had strong opinions about everything within eyeshot of her kitchen window, and our ranch sat squarely in that view. When our water went off that Saturday and our ranch hands began digging trenches across the south field, Margaret apparently drew her own conclusions. She called the non-emergency line, and then, unsatisfied with whatever response she received, called the full emergency line, reporting suspicious excavation activity and suggesting we might be tampering with shared infrastructure. The thing is, our water supply is entirely private. We draw from a well my grandfather drilled in 1958, and our irrigation system has never been connected to any municipal or shared source. There is no shared infrastructure. There never has been. When the County Water Authority representative arrived, a cheerful man named Dennis, who clearly had better things to do on a Saturday, he walked the property with me for 20 minutes, reviewed the permits I had already pulled for the upgrade, and declared everything perfectly in order. He seemed genuinely interested in the smart flow regulators we were installing. We ended up talking irrigation efficiency for a solid half hour. Margaret, watching from across the fence line, was visibly disappointed by this outcome. But here is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Dennis, before leaving, mentioned that our aquifer readings were exceptionally strong. Stronger, he said, than most private wells he visited in the county. He suggested we might want it formally assessed. On a whim, I hired a hydrology firm the following month. The report delivered 6 weeks later was extraordinary. Our aquifer was not simply a good well. It sat atop one of the most significant freshwater reserves in the region, a deep limestone formation that had been filtering and storing rainfall for thousands of years. The volume was substantial, the purity was exceptional, and because it sat entirely within our property boundaries, it was entirely ours. We spent the next year working with environmental consultants, water rights attorneys, and agricultural planners to understand what this discovery truly meant. What emerged was a business opportunity I had never imagined when I was simply trying to upgrade some old irrigation pipes. We now supply fresh water to 3 neighboring municipalities under a long-term contract that funds the ranch's operations for decades to come. We established a conservation partnership with the state that protects the aquifer in perpetuity while generating significant tax incentives. And the smart irrigation upgrade, the very project that started everything, reduced our own water usage by 31%, meaning the aquifer replenishes faster than we draw from it. The ranch my grandfather built to feed our family now helps sustain an entire county. I did reach out to Margaret once the project was announced publicly, inviting her to the small celebration we held when the first municipal contract was signed. She did not come, but I heard through a mutual acquaintance that she had described the ranch to her friends as that remarkable property next door. I'll take it. My grandfather used to say, the land rewards patience and punishes panic. He meant it as farming advice, but it applies to most things in life. When someone questions what you are doing on your own ground, the best response is to know your ground better than anyone else does. We knew ours, and it turned out to be worth more than any of us ever dreamed. The irrigation upgrade worked flawlessly, a truly perfect conclusion to the weekend that quietly changed everything about this ranch.